Imagine sitting on a normal passenger flight. The seatbelt sign is off. People are smiling. Flight attendants are serving drinks. Then, without any warning, a deafening explosion tears through the cabin. The roof of the airplane simply disappears. And thousands of feet above the Pacific Ocean, survival becomes almost impossible. This is the unbelievable true story of Aloha Airlines Flight 243. It was supposed to be one of the shortest and safest flights of the day. Aloha Airlines Flight 243 was flying between two Hawaiian islands, a route completed safely thousands of times before. Nothing seemed unusual, nothing seemed dangerous, until everything changed in less than 1 second. The aircraft was a Boeing 737-200, one of the most trusted passenger airplanes in the world. It had completed thousands of successful flights, carrying millions of passengers safely across the skies. No one on board had any reason to believe this flight would soon make aviation history. On board were 89 passengers, along with a crew of 6. Some were tourists enjoying Hawaii. Others were simply traveling home after work. For everyone on board, it felt like another completely ordinary flight. After takeoff, the airplane climbed smoothly toward its cruising altitude of approximately 24,000 feet. The sky was clear, the weather was beautiful, and absolutely nothing suggested that this peaceful flight was only minutes away from becoming one of the most extraordinary survival stories in aviation history. But in just a few moments, a sound louder than anything the passengers had ever heard would tear through the cabin, and the roof of the airplane would simply vanish into the sky. Inside the cabin, everything felt completely normal. Passengers chatted with one another. Some looked out the windows at the beautiful Hawaiian islands below, while flight attendants walked down the aisle serving drinks with friendly smiles. No one knew they had less than a minute before disaster struck. Without warning, a deafening explosion ripped through the airplane. Passengers instinctively covered their ears. The cabin shook violently, and in less than a single second, the impossible happened. The front section of the airplane's roof suddenly ripped away, exposing the cabin directly to the open sky. A hurricane-force blast of air rushed through the aircraft, pulling loose objects into the sky within seconds. Passengers couldn't believe what they were seeing. The force of the decompression was overwhelming. Passengers struggled to stay in their seats as the roaring wind filled the cabin. Communication became almost impossible. Every second felt like an eternity. The pilots had no idea exactly what had happened behind them, but they immediately knew one thing. Their airplane had suffered catastrophic damage. Now, they had only one goal: keep the aircraft flying. The airplane was still in the sky, but one of the flight attendants had suddenly disappeared, and the pilots were about to attempt one of the most difficult emergency landings in aviation history. Inside the cockpit, the noise was almost unbearable. The captain and first officer could barely hear each other over the roaring wind. Warning alarms flashed across the instrument panel. Yet despite the chaos, they refused to panic. Every decision they made over the next few minutes would decide the fate of everyone on board. The crew immediately declared an emergency. Air traffic control cleared the aircraft for an immediate return to Maui. Every second mattered. The damaged airplane was losing altitude, but it was still flying. Passengers looked up, and for the first time, they could actually see the sky above them. Clouds raced overhead. The deafening wind never stopped. It felt like flying inside an open convertible, 24,000 feet in the air. Cabin crew members ignored their own fear, moving through the damaged aircraft to calm terrified passengers, even in unimaginable conditions. They continued doing their jobs. Their courage would later be remembered around the world. Despite the unimaginable damage, the Boeing 737 continued flying. Every passing mile brought the crew closer to Maui, but nobody knew if the aircraft could survive the landing. The hardest part was still ahead. The runway was finally in sight, but with catastrophic structural damage, one wrong move during landing could destroy the airplane and put every remaining life at risk. The runway at Kahului Airport finally appeared ahead. Captain Robert Schornsteimer tightened his grip on the controls. The aircraft was still responding, but nobody knew how much hidden damage remained inside the airframe. This would be one of the most delicate landings of his entire career. Inside the cabin, passengers remained tightly strapped into their seats. Many silently prayed. Others held the hands of complete strangers. No one spoke. Every eye was fixed on the approaching runway. Seconds later, the main landing gear touched the runway. The aircraft bounced once, then settled firmly onto the ground against all odds. The impossible had happened. They had landed safely. As the airplane rolled to a stop, emergency crews rushed toward the damaged aircraft. Passengers quickly evacuated using emergency slides. For many, it was the happiest moment of their lives. They had survived something almost no one believed was possible. Investigators later discovered that years of metal fatigue and tiny cracks in the aircraft's fuselage had slowly weakened the airplane. Thousands of short island flights had repeatedly pressurized and depressurized the cabin, until one ordinary flight became an extraordinary disaster. The accident transformed aircraft inspection procedures around the world, helping make modern air travel even safer. Aloha Airlines Flight 243 became one of the most remarkable survival stories in aviation history. It proved that even after catastrophic structural failure, exceptional training, teamwork, and calm decision-making can save lives. Because sometimes, heroes aren't wearing capes, they're sitting in the cockpit.